Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still testing this crucial area of resistance in the short term, but rather than rejecting, at least so far as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still trading within the area of resistance, which is something to pay attention to, especially now that we're starting to see a lot of liquidity building just above the price of Bitcoin in this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment alongside Ethereum, which is now officially confirmed the breakout above this crucial level of resistance in the short term, while the price of Solana is also now testing an important area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish move or larger bearish trend on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, obviously, as I've already been talking about every day since almost 2 months now, since all the way back up here at all-time highs, we still have a massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame to watch out for, causing a lack in bullish momentum, a larger slowdown in the price of Bitcoin. And so, at least for now, that is still the case as of right now on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. Over the last 1 day, not much has changed on these much larger time frames. But if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart in the somewhat short to mid-term over the next few days or the next maybe 1 or 2 weeks, of course, we have this shorter term oversold signal playing out on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart. And as I've said many times over the last week or so, the last time we saw an oversold signal on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart was over 3 years ago, back in mid 2022. And what came next after these previous examples of oversold signals on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, what came next was either a sideways consolidation, some choppy sideways price action, or a bit more of a bullish relief in the shorter term, not necessarily guaranteeing that we've hit the bottom, but at least for the next few weeks or so, most likely helping the price. In other words, basically avoiding some of the bearish price action, seeing a bit of a bullish relief for maybe a few weeks, a couple of weeks. And obviously over the last 1 week or so, that has been what has played out as expected, and this will likely continue a little further moving forward, at least in the coming days. Most likely in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we will likely see a bit more of either a bullish relief or at worst a sideways consolidation. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, for now and over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have been in a bit of a sideways price range, obviously bouncing around between support and resistance. So first of all, we still have a lot of support at approximately 85,000 give or take, and a lot of resistance in between around 92 to 94,000 as the important area of resistance to pay attention to. But obviously, if you've been watching my channel over the last couple of weeks, you'll know that I've been talking about that area of resistance since before we've now perfectly started to struggle in that exact area as expected. So obviously continue to expect a lot of struggle in this area, but at least for now, obviously we've now seen 2 tests, a retest and another retest right here of this resistance. And initially we saw that rejection, but then of course we're now seeing another retest, and so far as of recording this video on this test of the resistance, we're not really seeing any strong rejection, at least so far. And basically, the longer we spend time at this resistance here, testing this resistance, the more likely, the higher probability that we'll eventually break out above that resistance. Because basically, the price of Bitcoin staying at this resistance, what that effectively means fundamentally is a lot of the buyers, a lot of the bulls out there are buying up all of the sell orders that's been holding down the price of Bitcoin at this level on the price chart. And so basically, the more we test that level, the more we buy up through all of those sell orders, and eventually if we test that enough, it weakens the resistance and ultimately can cause a breakout. So keep that in mind. The longer we spend here, the better that is for Bitcoin. And as I talked about in my last video, if the price of Bitcoin actually confirms a breakout with ideally a daily candle close above 94,000 and actually holding above that area, in that situation, that would be a major bullish signal in the short term for 2 different reasons. The first reason is due to the fact that, of course, simply breaking out above resistance by itself is a short-term bullish signal. But on top of that, that would be activating a double bottom pattern, also known as a W pattern, setting up a bullish price target. And if we're taking a look at that approximate bullish price target, looking at a somewhat conservative estimate rather than from the bottom of the candle wick right here, that'll place a bullish price target at give or take $103,000 per Bitcoin. And so let's just say if we were taking this trading opportunity that I also explained in more more detail in my last video. So if you missed my last video, definitely check that out. But if we took this trading opportunity from the point of the breakout at approximately 94,000 towards roughly 103,000, that's about a 9 or 10% move towards the upside with no leverage. Or for example, if you're losing around a 10x leverage long position, that would be almost doubling your money, almost a 100% profit in that example, not financial advice. But as always, it's important to understand that we've not yet confirmed that price target or this possible double bottom pattern because we've not yet confirmed the breakout above 94,000. So we need to see that confirmation signal first before activating this bullish price target. And as always, even if we do confirm this bullish price target with a confirmed breakout above 94,000, we cannot ignore other potential points of resistance on the price chart along the way. Like for example, this level right here, give or take $100,000. And if we're actually zooming further into the short term, looking at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we could see this area really in between $99,000 to $100,000 as an important area of resistance based on previous support flipping into new resistance. And if we break out above 100,000 in that situation, the next major point of resistance in the shorter term would be sitting in between roughly 106,000 to 107,000. But obviously the immediate resistance, which we're still testing as of recording this video, is still in between roughly 92 to 94,000. And we also have ingredients in place to help a potential breakout towards the upside once we see the confirmation signal above 94,000. And one of those so-called ingredients that can help push the price a little higher is of course the fact that we have liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And so right now and over the last 1 day or so, we've just started to build more liquidity above the price of Bitcoin in between roughly 94.4K to 94.7K. So at roughly 94,500, we now have a lot of liquidity starting to build right around here. So just above this resistance. So that basically means that can help to push the price further towards the upside, liquidating short positions in maybe a small short squeeze. I don't expect a massive short squeeze based on this amount right here, but can help push the price a little higher in the short term if of course we first confirm the breakout above 94,000. That is the immediate confirmation signal that we need to see before finally targeting these next price targets that I just mentioned. Because obviously if you entered a long position back at this previous test right here in anticipation of a breakout, then you potentially would have got wrecked on that rejection. So that's why we need to wait for confirmation. We need to first confirm the breakout above the resistance to be more confident that now the resistance is broken and we're heading towards the next resistance or the next price targets. And once again, if you want a more detailed example of a trading strategy, not financial advice, but if you want a potential trading strategy that I'll be looking at doing myself, then check out my last video here on the channel, because in that video I went into more detail about a possible trading opportunity about to happen very soon if we break out above 94,000. And so if you haven't done so already, this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of this next trading opportunity. And if you're using the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses. For example, if you simply just make an account, complete KYC using that link, you get a 50 USDT futures bonus onto your account. And on top of that, there's of course deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as $100, you get a $100 deposit bonus into your account. If you deposit up to $10,000, you get a $1,000 deposit bonus into your Pinex account. This is basically free money from the exchange, which you can then go ahead to actually use to fund a Bitcoin futures trade, for example. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange to place long positions, short positions, etc., one that I also use myself, then for that, check out the second link below this video. That second link in the description and in the pinned comment will take you to this page right here over on 2bit. And on top of the fact that you can also get exclusive deposit bonuses that are only available using that link, you can also have trade protection and a trader recovery fund using that link below the video that's only available for the next almost 1 week. And so as you can see right here, new users that are making your account during this event using the link below the video will receive 100% loss protection on your first futures trade up to 200 USDT in trial funds. And on top of that, if you get liquidated on your 2bit account over 50 USDT during this event that's running right now, then you may be eligible for recovery compensation up to 1,000 USDT on your trade. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take that next trading opportunity, you might as well check this out. Once again, second link below the video. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. range. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now we're still kind of in the slight bounce in the short term, but like I've already been saying over the last few days for almost a week now, we don't really have significant momentum to either direction in the Bitcoin dominance, at least in the shorter term here. So obviously we're not really in a strong bullish or strong bearish trend, at least right now, which basically means a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, over the last one day, we've now officially confirmed a daily candle close in the price of ETH above this Fibonacci level, which was previous Fibonacci level of support, which was just acting as resistance over the last 1 week and is potentially now flipping into new support now that we have seen a daily candle close confirming above that level. And of course, that level was sitting at roughly around $3,040. So really in between 3,000 to 3.1K was the area of resistance that's been holding the price down over the last 1 to 2 weeks. But once again, now that we've officially confirmed a daily candle close above that area, this will likely now become new support. So if we see a bit of a pullback, expect support in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1K. And obviously this is of course a bullish signal breaking out above resistance. And it's also now technically activating this double bottom pattern, also known as a W pattern, setting up a new bullish price target, which is now technically in play. And that bullish price target is sitting at approximately 3,400. And so let's just say if you open a trade at the point of the breakout here to that price target, that's about 11% move towards the upside, or even from where we are right now as of recording this video to that price target, that's still about a 7% move towards the upside still to go, and that's with no leverage. So potential trading opportunity here. Once again, not financial advice, but in my position, I'm waiting for the Bitcoin breakout, because then we can be more confident in really the overall crypto market heading towards the upside. Because obviously now that Ethereum has broken out above this resistance, let's just say if Bitcoin does end up seeing another rejection from this resistance in the short term, like what we saw last time, in that situation, that would likely drag down a lot of the major altcoins with it, because once again, a lot of the major altcoins will likely be performing very similar, showing very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So until we actually break out here for Bitcoin, I'll not be overly confident right now for these sort of breakouts in the altcoin market. I'll definitely be paying attention to what Bitcoin is doing. But with that being said, of course, this is still a bullish signal to pay attention to. And once again, expect support in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1K for Ethereum. And of course, this oversold signal has already now perfectly played out as I predicted days ago, all the way back down here, saying how we're most likely going to see a bullish move in the short term. And obviously that's exactly played out right now. And we've now actually hit overbought just a few hours ago. Over the last 1 day, we've now hit overbought in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And so this is actually a signal just in the immediate short term, talking about the next few hours, maybe the next day, telling us we're now likely going to see a little bit of a cool off. We've gone too far to the upside too quickly in the short term, and we now need a little bit of time in the immediate short term to cool off, which means either a bit of sideways price action or maybe a slight pullback. Not necessarily a massive crash all the way back down, but just to help to reset the RSI out of oversold, cooling off a little bit, losing a bit of that bullish momentum is now quite likely in the immediate short term for the price of Ethereum. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now it's a very similar situation as Bitcoin, because we're now testing a crucial area of resistance in the short term that has been holding down the price of Solana over the last couple of weeks or so. And of course, that area of resistance is still sitting in between around 143 to 147. So continue to expect a lot of resistance in that exact area. And of course, for now, we're still in a bit of a sideways price range, bouncing between support and resistance. So once again, we have that area of resistance that I just mentioned, and of course a lot of support at roughly around $124. And if the price of Solana follows Ethereum, and if Bitcoin eventually breaks out towards the upside, helping Solana, so if Solana actually breaks out here in that situation, then expect a move towards this next price target, this next resistance, sitting at roughly around $166 to $170. But once again, in the meantime, we're still in a bit of a sideways price range, still testing this resistance. So this is just simply a wait and see moment for Solana. We've not yet confirmed any breakout here, and especially pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is very likely for Solana at this resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, we're technically still playing out the massive bearish divergence that has been playing out over multiple months, as I actually talked about on the channel multiple months ago, all the way back up here when pretty much no one else out there believed me. But with that being said, this is still technically active. It's still playing out on the much larger time frames, but remember, it's not a short-term signal. It does not tell us what the price action will be tomorrow, but rather what could be likely over the next multiple weeks or multiple months. And if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, obviously we have had this shorter term bullish divergence, the smaller bullish divergence, play out over the last 1 to 2 weeks on the daily XRP price chart. And remember, a bullish divergence means we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action bouncing around sideways as the most common outcomes, the most likely outcomes. And we have seen a bit of both really over the last 1 to 2 weeks. First of all, bullish relief, and then a bit of choppy sideways price action so far. And so considering the fact that this has not yet been invalidated, that could continue to play out a little longer here in the short term, kind of bouncing around it relatively sideways with a very, very slight bullish relief or slight bullish bias could be a very likely scenario in the coming days or maybe for the next week. Once again, this is a smaller signal compared to the much larger bearish divergence that has been playing out over multiple months. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, of course, we have a lot of support at in between roughly $2 to $2.05 and a lot of resistance in between roughly $2.30 to $2.40. And we also have a bit of short-term resistance at close to $2.20 as well. And remember, when it comes to a lot of these major altcoins like XRP, like other altcoins I've talked about in this video, really pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. So for example, if Bitcoin ultimately breaks out here, then that can really help a lot of the altcoin market. Or like what we saw close to a week ago, a few days ago, if we ultimately reject, like what we saw last time, obviously that also caused some short-term pullbacks for a lot of altcoins. So definitely keep an eye on what Bitcoin is doing, even if you're simply an altcoin holder or altcoin trader. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the daily Chainlink price chart, right now, technically speaking, we're still playing out this bullish divergence as predicted on the daily Chainlink price chart. It is still technically active, but as always, we need to pay attention to points of resistance along the way. First of all, we already confirmed this breakout above this previous point of resistance here, sitting at roughly around $13.40 to $13.50. So I'd now expect support at that level. If we were to see a bit more of a pullback here, expect a lot of support at give or take $13.40 to $13.50. And as for resistance, obviously we had that technical price target for this short-term double bottom pattern or W pattern, and that price target was sitting at approximately $15. And just recently, over the last 1 day, we hit almost exactly $15 within just a few cents of that $15 price target before we've now started to turn around a little bit just in the immediate short term. And of course, just above $15, we also have a lot of resistance in between roughly $15.20 to $15.70. So basically, as soon as we start approaching $15, expect a lot of resistance around there on the price chart. And once again, a lot of support at roughly $13.40 to $13.50. But overall, considering this bullish divergence is still currently active, and usually a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over at least a week, and so far it's only been about 2 days, it is quite likely will continue to play out either more choppy sideways price action or potentially a bit more of a bullish relief. Just remember, of course, we have a lot of resistance just above the price. So if we do end up seeing a little bit more of a bullish relief, continue to expect the price to struggle a lot around that $15 level and just above $15 as well. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, getting set up, ready to go to take that next possible trading opportunity for Bitcoin, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what happens here in the price of any crypto, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.